Hey everyone, we're back. It's another episode of Infinite Jess, and for MLB.com's Cut 4, I'm Jess Kleinschmidt, per usual. But this time around, it's a very special episode because we get to talk about food, one of my favorite foods to dip things in, and that's salsa. Now, I don't necessarily put it on everything, or I can't drink a mason jar full of it like my subject today, which is Matt Carpenter. You know, I don't know if you should be putting it like on froyo, but I also wouldn't judge you if you put it on froyo. So go on with your bad selves. I mentioned Matt Carpenter. He's been so much fun to watch this season. 34 home runs and counting, 273, 385, 579, slash line as I record this. Like I said, and counting. Numbers can change in 2 seconds because this guy's been so phenomenal for those Cardinals. Now, I mentioned salsa. He's been trying to he's successfully introduced salsa into his part of the reason why not only him, but the Cardinals are having so much success. A quick backstory, when Adam Wainwright was on the DL, he basically planted a garden for Matt Carpenter, who loves to make salsa, and he said, must be the salsa. All of a sudden, boom, you're hitting 34 home runs. That's how it works. So check out this clip to see the little bit of the obsession over salsa and to see what Matt Carpenter has been doing for the Cardinals this season.
3-1, hit out to right. He's done it again! 31 and counting!
Carpenter swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep right center field. This is going to leave the yard. It's a gunner. A two-run homer for Carpenter, his 32nd of the year.
Unbelievable what's happening right now with Matt Carpenter.
6 out of 7.
Wow.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I love this stuff. I get it. No, I get it. Sorry. I get it. Salsa makes you do some pretty great things. Look at me. I'm eating salsa on camera, and I'm as happy as a clam. So, that goes to show what you can do just by eating some salsa. It's perfect. So, what I wanted to do was bring a couple people on that are not only knowledgeable about the Cardinals, but have been interacting with the fans and know the fan base and have seen what has happened over the last couple of seasons since letting Mike Matheny go. Mike Shildt was brought in to manage the Cardinals, and I learned recently that he's done a really good job, not only from a managerial perspective, of course, but dealing with the media and dealing with the fans, and he's super approachable, and that's good to hear too. My first guest I wanted to bring on is Dani Wexelman. She, of course, does everything under the sun when it comes to MLB Advanced Media. She hosts, she reports, she produces. Overall, just like, she's awesome. She does everything. It's kind of great. Let me get her on the phone. I'm so excited to have her on. So Dani Wexelman's here. I am so excited. I wish you guys could have seen us right when we got on time together. It was so much fun, but I'm so glad that you're here. Dani, you literally do it all for MLB.com. Your lower is going to be about 800 different, but you produce, you host, you're a reporter, you literally do it all, and you're one of the hardest working women I've ever come across, and of course one of the hardest working people in baseball, so I'm so glad to have you on. Now we have that done.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, by the way, because if I could have half of your wit, I may be kind of a complete person. Well, half of your wit, your brains, and your beauty. And then, then put us together and maybe then we'd be the whole package.
Yeah, I don't think the world can handle that. So there's that. So the reason why I wanted to bring you on, besides the fact that I love you so much, is the fact that you're also a Cardinals fan. So, and it was kind of a low-key thing. Every time I would tweet something about Matt Carpenter or the Cardinals, I noticed I'm homegirl's giving me some love. So tell me a little bit about your background with your obsession or your love for the Cardinals.
Yes. Okay. So not many people know this, but I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. Shout out to, we'll say Wildwood, actually. And I went to Eureka High School. So those from St. Louis know the question to ask is, where'd you go to high school? I went to Eureka High School. But yeah, so when you're born in the state of Missouri on the eastern side, you are a Cardinals fan, and you don't have a choice, and you don't want a choice. Why would you want one?
Right.
11 World Series championships and hoping for a few more in my lifetime. But yeah, basically grew up and played softball and got to the ballpark anytime I could. I loved Old Busch Stadium with the archways and the shadows, and now we have New Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village, and Everyone likes to rag on Cardinals fans for being the best fans in baseball, but I will say this. Some of the smartest, most intelligent, and respectful fans in all of baseball. I will definitely say that about who we are.
Ooh, I like that. Who was your favorite player growing up?
So Ozzie Smith a little bit precedes me and right after me growing up. And then, gosh, I loved watching Albert Pujols. I really did. That was heartbreaking. I understand it now that I'm a little bit older. I kind of understand it. I miss him, but he still lives in St. Louis. And fun fact, I saw him doing hot yoga a few years back when I was home for winter break. Yes, Albert Pujols was dominating hot yoga.
I'm not that surprised. Like, that's
Yes.
cool, but I'm also not surprised. So we have this really cool story that happened, and it's this year. Matt Carpenter, of course, is tearing it up in the bigs, just having a blast, and he's blaming it for his homemade salsa, right? So I'm curious, are you on this bandwagon, on this train when it comes to this salsa fixation?
Okay, so for me, superstition is everything in sports. And so it would have been marshmallows or eating sweet potatoes, I don't care what it is. Of course, I'm in on it. It's got to be the salsa. And I love that he's making the concoctions. And I love that he wouldn't give any to Matt Adams. And then all of a sudden, Matt Adams comes back to St. Louis. He says, now you can have the salsa, my friend. Welcome
and
back.
He said you're gonna bathe in it. So we're still waiting on that. I even tweeted Matt and I was like, if you take a bath in salsa, like, hit me up. Let me know this is happening. And
yes.
So it's awesome. Now
it's amazing.
I know. I'm really excited. And I kind of like that it's outside of, it brings you back to the Little League days where you like get dressed a certain way, and you're a former athlete too. So I would do weird stuff and stuff that it's really gross now that I think about it, but I swear it would work.
It worked.
It totally worked. Or it didn't work, and I would just pretend like it did. Now, I'm not the type of person to say, one guy is going to carry this whole team. I think if that were the case, the Angels would win the World Series every single year. But I can't help but, I can't ignore what Matt Carpenter is doing with the Cardinals. So I think we honestly say, if we took a step back and said, Matt Carpenter is doing something kind of amazing for the Cardinals.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, a team is filled with 25 men who will contribute day in and day out, and they're grinding. They're exiting the dog days. We're heading into the most exciting time, which is September for the pennant race. But yeah, you can definitely say that Matt Carpenter, no doubt, and his salsa have helped boost this team. That guy has been with the Cardinals for 8 seasons. It feels like forever.
Right.
I feel like he's been on this team for much longer than that, but it's been 8 seasons, and this is by far going to be his best career season yet. 34 home runs and counting. And when the guy, it's as Matt Carpenter goes, the team goes. And that's what everyone in St. Louis has been waiting for. And that's what you dream of with a ball club. You need that guy. And he's still young, but he has the veteran presence. So it's the best of both worlds. And he's hitting his stride. I think he changed up his swing this year, and so everything is kind of finally falling into place for him, and it's exciting to watch. Finally, the Cardinals are kind of pushing their way. They're never out of it.
Right.
I wouldn't say the division's not theirs. There's no way in the entire world, but wild card, they're neck and neck right now. They're going to fight with the Brewers, the Rockies till the very end.
Yeah, and I kind of like teams like that. They're not going to necessarily make it to the World Series, but they're going to be very stubborn, making it difficult for the rest of the teams in their division. And that's why I like the team. And the tune has just changed just in the last couple of months, and it has a lot to do with Matt Carpenter. Now, I asked you before, what beyond Matt Carpenter and the salsa,
yes,
the Cardinals has still been pretty fun to watch. What else has been worth grabbing your attention for those who may not know about other stuff on the Cardinals team?
Okay, I'm going to go with a guy, Harrison Bader. Now, he's not obviously going to be the flashiest name on the team, but man, this guy is so fun to watch. The dude is laying out, putting his body on the line night after night, patrolling the outfield, and I love watching him play. I love his flow. I love his vibe. The guy is bringing that extra spice to the salsa, to the game, to everything that is going on with the Cardinals right now. And I really like him, and I hope that he sticks around and he kind of gets in a groove as well. And people need to learn his name, Harrison Bader, because this guy is a true baseballer. Like he's a gamer.
I agree. And we want to know like some of the secret ingredients to Matt Carpenter's salsa. Maybe it's Harrison Bader. Maybe it is.
Put a little Harrison Bader, a little Yadi Molina, stir it up.
Yeah, and Harrison Bader used to make pottery in high school. He used to be obsessed with it. A random fact.
What?
I know. Jonathan Mayo, bless his heart, was like, "Hey, did you know?" And I was like, "Okay," but I thought it was essential. And
he pulled that out of his back pocket and he was like, "By the way, Harrison Bader."
Yeah, I sent Joe Trezza to go ask about it, and I guess Harrison was kind of like, "Wow, nobody's asked me about that in a very long time." So I don't know if I made him. I'm sorry, if you guys are embarrassed by that, but
no, you should be proud. Be proud of your artistic ability.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he was kind of like, "Wow, nobody's asked me about that." So there's your fun little fact from Jess and
I love
Dani
that.
Today. Dani, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for stopping by, and you're amazing and fantastic. And I'm so glad to have you.
One day we're going to geek out in person. We're going to get to hug each other. And yes. I love you. I love everything you do. And I love how you represent women, people, sports. Everything about you is fantastic. And I love you.
Oh, ditto. And I love you too. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we're going to have to stop because it's going to get too mushy over here. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Dani, for stopping by. Like she mentioned, the Cardinals have a very unique fan base. When something's up, they say it, and it's been really good to watch basically the tone change. And the reason why I was excited to have her on is because she sees both the media sides of the perspective, if you will, and then, of course, being a fan herself. So it's great to see both of those sides. Another person that I'm excited to have on is Miss Tara Wellman. She's of the really big Cardinals blog, Birds on the Black. And I've been on her show before. When I was on her show, it was right when Mike Shildt was brought in. So it's a weird tone, if you will, with the Cardinals. And then I'm curious to know what's happened since the hiring of Mike Shildt. So let's give her a call. Tara Wellman's here. I told you I'd call her, and I delivered. I'm not the type of person to say one guy's going to carry a team, but I can't help but twist it when it comes to Matt Carpenter. So what has this guy been doing for all the success for the Cardinals this season?
Oh gosh, it's been, again, so fun to watch. I was actually in Chicago for the game where he hit 3 home runs against the Chicago Cubs, and they scored 9 million runs. And that was right after the All-Star break, and it was sort of that feeling out period where people weren't quite sure how much Mike Shildt was going to be able to do. And then after that, there was this whole bullpen makeover. But all of that has kind of been lost in the Matt Carpenter shuffle because what he's done has been so extraordinary. I mean, this is a guy that the first month of the season was hitting under 200. He had, I think, 3 home runs in the first month of the season, and he has 30 since then. I mean, it's just been the most incredible turnaround. And I think what kind of gets lost in the fun of all of that, in the superstitions and the drama and the game winners and all of that, is that this was actually a bit more of a slow build, I think, for Matt Carpenter than most people at this point are recognizing, because that first month was so bad. But then it was sort of this gradually, you start to see some of those signs of him turning the corner. And then all of a sudden, he's the Matt Carpenter of 2015, and everyone is remembering why the Cardinals as an organization felt like they could build a lineup around him. It's not just the home runs. It's not just the fact that he's a ridiculous leadoff hitter. It's not just the on-base percentage. It's the way that he's gone about really transforming his approach back to what it was when he was so successful in 2015, which is something he talked about in the spring, but it took a little while to catch on. And as far as turning around the team, you're right, it's hard to pin that on one guy. But there was a really interesting piece written in the one of the St. Louis papers by Derek Gould, who kind of made the parallel that Matt Carpenter as a hitter when he's at his best is the 2 strike, 2 out, shorten your swing, nice, easy approach kind of hitter, and it works for him. And that's actually what we've seen from this whole lineup since Mike Shildt took over. So how much you want to credit Matt Carpenter with inspiring that, or how much you want it to be Mike Shildt, the reality is the Cardinals have sort of become a mirror image of peak Matt Carpenter, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice, and that has a lot to do. And 2015 was such a good year for baseball. I loved, everybody was at, well, not everybody, a lot of the guys were at their peak all-star spot, and you're right when you make a comment about when one guy's doing well, they want to ask, and obviously I'm a huge Joey Votto fan, and he's on the DL right now, but you always see him talking to his teammates and curious about the pitchers and what he has to face with. And if you ever talk to one of these guys that are like that, they want to fill you with information and stuff like that. So to see what he's doing is great. And, obviously he's saying Matt Carpenter himself is saying his confidence is coming from a mason jar of salsa. So I'm curious. I know, and I was talking to Dani about this earlier. I'm a former athlete. I believe in superstitions, but what is the deal with this salsa fixation? How are fans responding to it?
Oh man, if there's one thing that Cardinals fans do well is take a little tiny thing and turn it into, there's a rally squirrel on the World Series ring from 2011. Like, you want to give us a little thing to hold on to, we will run with it.
That was a legit thing that happened. That's science.
Yeah.
All the things.
Oh, for sure. It's so real. But just like the salsa, it's so funny to see how this has become a thing really because of social media, which is fascinating for a team that was so like vanilla and boring on social media. And all of a sudden, Matt Carpenter kind of has this personality that's resurrected. And it's one of those chicken or the egg things. I don't know if the personality came first or the playing better came first. But nonetheless, all of a sudden, he's putting all of this out there on social media. And we're seeing this personality behind the hitter that's driving this salsa thing. So this, as the story goes, Adam Wainwright planted a garden for Matt Carpenter when Adam Wainwright was on the DL. Those are the vegetables that have been the source of the creation for this salsa. Although he's making so much salsa, I worry about that garden.
He said he eats or drinks. He probably drinks it too.
Probably.
So something's happening now.
So it's been this crazy thing, and the fun part about it has been that not only have the fans bought in, but his teammates have as well. And whether that's the superstition or whether that's this suddenly like instant team chemistry that's happened over the course of the last month or so. They're all wearing the salsa t-shirts and they're all Instagramming it, and it's the only thing that anyone wants to talk about.
Such a beautiful thing to kind of step outside of the diamond and do all that stuff, bring your community into it. And now I wanted to know, he in his interviews say that he makes this salsa with a lot of love and some secret ingredients. Besides love, what do you think one of his secret ingredients could be?
Man, I feel like it could be,
there's no,
oh man,
I don't think paprika's in it.
No. I feel like there's something about the peppers that has to be a little bit different, because you can get salsa anywhere, right? But like these peppers, if it's the peppers from the garden, maybe really the secret ingredient is Adam Wainwright. Let's be honest. He's the one that planted the garden.
Yeah. So I think it might be Adam Wainwright. So that's a whole nother venture. It's going to
whole different layer to the salsa thing.
Yeah. That blows your mind. Well, you've been fantastic. And I know it's been such a pleasure to watch you, like your attitudes change so much. I know when we talked, when I went on your show, it was a very solemn type of mentality. And I'm glad to see it's turned around, not just for you, but the Cardinals fans, because they're very energetic and they're out there and they're very outspoken. And I love seeing them just happy. So I'm really glad for you to stop by. Make sure you're following all of Tara's work. She is fantastic. And I'm so glad that you stopped by to hang out with me for a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Tara, for stopping by. Like I said, I wanted to bring her in because not only does she know the Cardinals like the back of her hand, but she's been watching how fans are reacting to this team, to the new manager, to Matt Carpenter, to all these new things that are happening. And she said that, you may not be able to have one player change the tone of a team, maybe from a hitting perspective, but it seems like a lot of those players are mimicking what Matt Carpenter's doing, and that's fabulous to see as well. So I'm really excited for that. I'm going to change gears a little bit. This is another installment of Tell Me Something Good. Now, what I did was I didn't expect so many responses for this Twitter question. I simply asked, has baseball ever made you cry? I had almost over 1,000 responses, and that blew my mind, which was also kind of a bad thing because I only have a certain amount of time I can talk about this on the show. But I want you to know, thank you guys so much for reaching out. It goes to show how people are invested in this sport and how much they love it and how much it can break your heart sometimes, and whether that's good or a bad thing. And, I've cried multiple times because of baseball, whether it was a trade. When Josh Donaldson went to the Blue Jays, I was devastated. When Jose Fernandez passed away, that genuinely tugged at my heart. And then the game after, which was a very popular response. And so when Jose Fernandez passed away, I noticed that was a moment where baseball is reminding you it's more than just the game. There's people that play the game and people that are touched by it. And then, just World Series wins, like seeing your favorite team win a World Series in a dramatic fashion just brings tears to your face. And I just thank you so much for your responses. So what I had to do is pick out as many as I possibly could. They were fun, they were emotional. And so let's get started. MLB.com's own Anthony Castrovins wrote, "Yeah, they hurt." So he thought I meant, throwing a baseball at someone, which I assume they hurt. Not if I threw it. They'd be like, "That's cute." So thanks for that, Anthony. I even responded, "Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it." 15 Seconds of Fame said, "There's no crying in baseball." Hello? Tom Hanks, you're lying. But I have this cute theory that baseball makes you cry, but sometimes you're smiling at the same time. I'm so cute. Megan wrote, "Well, once I get hit by a baseball, so yes." So yeah, like what Anthony said. If you get hit by a baseball and it hurts, boom. I want to know, a little more details about what happened when you got hit with that ball, Megan. Artie, another MLB.com guy, said, "Oh yes, on multiple occasions." And then my editor, Dakota Gardner from Cut 4, said, "Basically every day." It's probably when he's editing my stuff. He's like, why do I have to do this? And I mentioned Jose Fernandez. At Toss Carly said, "Yep," with a sad face. And it's a beautiful picture of D. Gordon, Christian Yelich, and Giancarlo Stanton wearing Jose Fernandez jerseys and pointing up. Yeah. At Fun Facts, this is such a beautiful moment. When it was Mariano Rivera's last game, and Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter took him out of the game. They even signaled to the bullpen, everything like that. Mariano just looks over at the guys, and he just gets this big smile on his face. And the hug afterwards. Oh my gosh. I can't. At Rose_Bookie sent me this photo of Ken Griffey Jr. hugging his father during a game. And that, oh man, why did I do this? This is going to make me cry. And Joel Madsen said Dallas Braden's perfect game on Mother's Day. His mother had passed away, and his grandmother was there to hug him on the field during his post-game interview. Another really cool moment where it kind of takes you off the diamond and makes you feel all warm and fuzzy and squishy inside. And I'm glad we ended on that note because it just makes me happy. And I'm so thankful that all of you sent in those beautiful requests. I wish I could have read them all. If you want to follow that, follow me at Kleinschmidt JD. It's this beautiful post, a beautiful stream of people sending stuff in, and I'm so thankful for it. That's all for this installment of Infinite Jess. Maybe next week next time I can read more of them. So once again, thank you so much for participating in that. It really just made me so happy and reminded me why I love this game so much. For MLB.com's Cut 4, I'm Jess Kleinschmidt, and I will see you next time. Bye.